The peace agreement in the Central African Republic seems to be blemished by the massacre of more than 30 civilians in the west of the country yesterday. A series of attacks carried out by the 3R armed group perpetrated in several villages around the city of Paua. 8 days to the funeral of the UDPS founding father Etienne Tshisekedi, and already a new succession crisis upsets the UDPS, the party of the President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi. Manny Pacquiao is to make a comeback to the ring. The Filipino boxer of 40 years old will fight against Kate Thurman on July 20th. A firefight between the two WBA welterweight champions. These are our top stories. Stay tuned for more details in this newscast. In Eritrea, polygamy is now compulsory. By June, all men without any exception will have to marry up to 3 women. Women will now have to accept that their husbands take up to 3 women. This decision of the Eritrean Department of Religious Affairs is not negotiable. The man or woman who will not comply is likely to be sentenced for life. Sir, you must marry several women. Madam, you must agree to have up to 3 co-wives. These are not suggestions. Your opinion doesn't count. You either cope or run straight to jail and stay there for the rest of your life. This dosage submitted to the Eritrean population old enough to take a mate recalls a verse of the Quran that recommends to any Muslim to have at least 4 wives, provided that they are all in the same boat. The Eritrean authorities want us to say that this is a non-debatable and negotiable order which will make it possible to accommodate all the women who, by the way, outnumber the men. From now on in Eritrea, polygamy is no longer an option. It is set as a norm, the standard which by definition means a condition that is usually widespread, which is most often considered a rule to be followed. So following the prescription of the Eritrean Department of Religious Affairs will be the only acceptable attitude. Anyone who refuses to comply will get a one-way ticket to Asmara Central Prison. Simply said, a man is equal to 3 women, a woman is equal to 3 spouses. And that's final. The aim is to prevent men from messing around and other mistresses, so-called Chiza, in Gabon. The Eritrean authorities go further and ask men and women to replace the word monogamy with polygamy, its twin brother, because one can effectively represent the other. As for love, that must be the foundation of a relationship. In Eritrea, the authorities say that it will catch up with the train. As the saying goes, the more you eat, the bigger your appetite. If some people applaud this decision with both hands, because according to them, having several partners may change life, others, on the other hand, feel that their basic human rights are denied, but that the pill will eventually be hard to swallow, but will have to be swallowed anyway. 34 people killed and 5 wounded are the official figures for the attacks perpetrated by the 3R armed group of Siddiqui Abbas, signatory to the peace agreements in 3 villages in the Paua area. Before this rising of violence, reactions from the MINUSCA and the authorities followed shortly after. The government, through its spokesman, Minister of Communication, demanded Siddiqui Abbas to help to arrest and turn over to the authorities within 72 hours the perpetrators of these massacres. Otherwise, he himself will be personally held responsible for these acts. Such a delay was also given to 3R movement to dismantle its illegal bases and barriers. If necessary, the MINUSCA and the government will take appropriate action. For the spokesman of the MINUSCA, this act reveals a cruel character which was planned and coordinated by people who wanted to cause a large number of victims. The minister also wished to recall that it will spare no effort in the prosecution of the perpetrators, sponsors, and accomplices of what could now turn into war crimes and crimes against humanity. Finally, the representative of the United Nations Secretary General in Central Africa condemned these killings and also confirmed that the perpetrators of such crimes will be sought, arrested, and brought to justice. The crisis upsetting the Union for Democracy and Social Progress in the DRC is about the leadership of this political party, whose the post of director has been vacant since the departure of Felix Tshisekedi, President of the Republic of the DRC, inaugurated on January 24th. Acting President Jean-Marc Kabund appointed Augustin Kabuya as General Secretary. This decision undermines the supporters of a collegial leadership in the form of a board of directors. In a statement on Wednesday, UDPS MPs said that the establishment of the directory should intervene before the repatriation of the remains of Etienne Tshisekedi. The body of Etienne Tshisekedi, who died in Brussels on February 1st, 2017, is expected to return home on Thursday, May 30th, and the funeral is scheduled until June 1st. His body could not be repatriated due to lack of agreement with the former regime of Kabila. Any opposition to the establishment of the executive board will be considered as an act of sabotage and high treason against Etienne Tshisekedi, the UDPS MPs insist. It is a real lecture that the opponent Katumbi served to the press 3 days after he returned to the country. It is going down well in the political corridors in the DRC that this 3-year separation was beneficial for the opponent, who said he had sifted through all Congolese political news. Moise Katumbi wishes more than ever to position himself as the one to be praised. He firmly believes that the opposition speech must contribute to the emergence of a more democratic society. But it is clear, no mixture, he does not wish to participate in the future government led by Ilunga Ilukamba, appointed Prime Minister. Sharing power with the majority for Moise Katumbi is not possible because in Africa, according to him, the test was not conclusive. This is why he very clearly intends to conduct a participatory policy within his country. He appeals to the opposition to be pragmatic and responsible. The Lamuka opposition, of which he is the flag bearer, reserves for itself a moment of free discussion for a direct interpersonal, frank, and objective exchange. For him, there is a time for everything. The UDPS time that fought for more than 30 years has come. They fought for change in the country. They must now, and in all responsibility, spread their vision for the DRC. Upon his return to Lubumbashi on Monday, where he was given a warm welcome by thousands of supporters, the rich businessman and president of the Tout-Puissant Mazembe, defending champion of Congolese football, had set the tone of its political calendar. He says, I quote, "I have come back for peace and for national reconstruction in our country by complying with the Constitution." On Tuesday, a pre-fight press conference between Manny Pacquiao and Keith Thurman was held in New York. The two men will face off on July 20th in a clash between WBA champions of welterweight. The Filipino of 40 years old declared that he's not done yet. Some senators cling to power, but as for Filipino, he clings to rings. At age 40, Manny Pacquiao, the legendary Filipino boxer, will fight the American Keith Thurman on July 20th for his 71st career fight. This Tuesday, the two WBA champions of welterweight were at a press conference in New York to talk about their fight, and Pac-Man wanted to clarify his situation regarding a possible new retreat.
I think experience is very important for this fight. Experience is very usable for this fight, and especially fighting undefeated. So I want him to experience losing in his record.
He's never fought a fighter like me who has the lateral movement, the speed, and the power. He's fought people, that have speed. He's fought people that have power, but not all in one. And he's never fought somebody this young, this strong, this hungry, and I'm coming for him.
The senator remains on a win unanimously by points against Adrian Broner on January 20th, with 6-1 wins, 39 before the final bell, and 7 defeats. The Filipino is still the only boxer to have won champion titles in 8 different weight categories. In 2015, the Filipino decided to hang up his gloves in favor of a career in politics before returning to the rings 2 years later to fight against Mayweather in the battle of the century. 2 years later, Pac-Man seems to have no intention of stopping this time. After weeks of waiting marked by cloudiness in information management, the name of the new coach of the Panthers of Gabon is officially known. Ever since the dismissal of Daniel Cousin, former national football team coach, the Panthers of Gabon finally have a new coach, and his name is Patrice Neveu, and the national technical director has also been appointed. The announcement was made by Pierre-Alain Mungengi, president of the Gabonese Football Federation, during a press briefing held in the premises of the Sports Palace this week Thursday. The French coach has much to offer. He had a glorious experience with Horoya Athletic Club from Guinea, which has become a reference in Africa. Former coach in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Guinea-Conakry, and Mauritania, this 65-year-old Frenchman, who was not the favorite for this position, managed to make it to the top and will be the future coach of the Panthers of Gabon and will take over from Daniel Cousin. Just 1 month to the African Cup of Nations in 21st of June in Egypt, Ghana's iconic striker Asamoah Gyan announced his international retirement to protest against coach Kwesi Appiah's intention to nominate another captain, a decision that was not approved by the Ghanaian president. President Addo talked on the phone with Asamoah Gyan and told him of the national interest over his decision to leave the Black Stars. He asked him, for the sake of the national interest, to reconsider his decision and make himself available to the coach, according to the statement issued by the player's football agent. On Wednesday, Asamoah Gyan on Twitter announced that his manager, Sami Anim Addo, would make a statement on his behalf and that he himself will issue a statement later following his discussion with the President of the Republic. Asamoah Gyan made his debut with the national football team in 2003 when he was only 17 years old. He has 106 selections and has played 3 World Cups, 2006, 2010 and 2014. He is the top scorer of the Ghana Black Stars with 51 goals. For this 2019 African Cup of Nations in Egypt, Ghana is in Group F with Cameroon, Benin and Guinea-Bissau. The peace agreement in the Central African Republic seems to be blemished by the massacre of more than 30 civilians in the west of the country yesterday. A series of attacks carried out by the 3R armed group perpetrated in several villages around the city of Paoa. 8 days to the funeral of the UDPS founding father, Etienne Tshisekedi, and already a new succession crisis upsets the UDPS, the party of the President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi. Manny Pacquiao is to make a comeback to the ring. The Filipino boxer of 40 years old will fight against Kate Thurman on July 20th, a firefight between the two WBA welterweight champions. That's all for our newscast today. Stay tuned on Gabon 24 for more news.